Hey, welcome back to the Burning It Down podcast. Once again, we have my beautiful wife, Nancy, Izzy, and we have Angel in the house. And once again, I'm V. I'll be your host.
you do.
But what's up? Welcome to the podcast, guys. How's it been? Long time no see.
Been good.
Well, to start it off, I mean, a couple of minutes ago, we just finished watching the Super Bowl. You know, we'd like to give a shout out to the Baconers, the Buccaneers, for winning for winning the Super Bowl.
Tampa Bay, baby.
All I gotta say is I was misinformed that Ariana Grande was gonna make an appearance.
You know what? Me too.
I was waiting for Ariana.
I think we were all pretty disappointed, and we were all hoping for a little bit of Ariana.
So we were waiting for a surprise. That's what I was waiting for.
Okay, what kind of surprise? Like
that.
All right, so she's gonna like come out of the stands or something?
I don't know. I'm just saying it would have been nice to have been like pleasantly surprised with her voice.
Yeah, I was ready for the high notes. I was ready for the.
Mm-hmm.
I was even imagining what she was gonna wear. Like she has to wear red to match
the vibe.
Weekend. Yeah.
You know what? They were all white and red, so I think red would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what? You guys were not too pleased with the weekend?
It was good.
This is the thing. Like Ariana Grande would have been great because she's such a good singer that you don't even have to perform at that point because everybody's in awe of like your vocal like talent. But like The Weeknd, I personally, in my personal opinion, I don't think that he's like an amazing singer. Mm-hmm. I just think that he's like kind of mediocre.
Yeah, but it is a little bit better than what they've had in the past. I mean, like what they had the Who, like really.
Yeah.
Ever since that thing that went down with Janet Jackson and what's his name?
Oh, Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake. Yeah, ever since that, they've been just like playing it, like, oh, let's just not go crazy.
Go safe.
Though there was that one Super Bowl where they had, what's that group, like LMFAO or some shit? Mm-hmm. And then also the guy from, like those two brothers or cousins with the long hair. I don't know, but one of them flipped off the camera. That was like the most scandalous. Like, we had a nipple like 4 years ago. Now a middle finger. Like, what's next?
I do understand that because they broadcasted it on like Nickelodeon or something.
Oh,
you can watch the show on Nickelodeon.
All these little like 13-year-olds were like, no, a middle finger. I've never even seen one of those.
I don't know, but I do get it. That like the whole being COVID safe and like maybe that's why, but like I just keep thinking back to like Beyonce and Bruno Mars.
Oh, Bianchi,
spectacular. It was amazing.
Man, I mean, I will admit out there to all the people on the internet, like I'm a Beyonce hater.
Mm-hmm. Hater.
So
I don't know how you got married with.
Don't take my like opinion on anything. All I remember is like all those memes that came out from Beyonce where she was like.
No, I know what you're saying.
Very glamorous photoshops. I'm just saying,
I'm just saying when you put it in work, you don't always look pretty.
Nothing but hate.
Hey, you know what? It happens. You're on the world stage. You gotta, flex. You're like, you're like a minor league bodybuilder. But hey.
You want to talk about vocals? I saw like a repeat of I guess it was 1991. Whitney Houston performed the national anthem.
Oh.
Beautiful. Chef's kisses.
Was that the like, I will always love you? Ooh. Yeah.
For the record, V knows nothing about music.
I am horrible at this. But on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have Angel here, who's an amazing singer.
Oh, yeah.
He's not really, what?
He's the karaoke guy.
Oh yeah, we did karaoke last night.
Yeah.
We celebrate Nancy's birthday.
Oh, yeah,
which
that
is
was pretty
technically
dope.
tomorrow, but we already celebrated.
Well, I mean,
technically in like a few hours.
Yeah, she will be.
Is that him?
Over the hill. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens.
He's coming to end it.
Do you guys see him over?
No.
No. All right. I think we're good. All right, guys. So in today's podcast, I don't know. Just wanted to kind of like shoot the shit a little bit. Just kind of hang out and chill. We just saw the Super Bowl. Everything was dope.
We've been chilling all day.
And then today, we have Nancy and V. We're, happily married. We're married, what? How many years now?
Since 14.
Since 2014,
yeah. Almost 7 years. Yeah, right? I mean, my math makes sense.
Well,
right?
yes. Yeah.
And then we have, Izzy and Angel, who are happily together. They're not currently married,
dating.
but, like, So I feel like we have a good mix of, like, personalities and stuff. So kind of like, you know, pick your guys' brains apart and see, you know, kind of like what's going on in the world with you guys, you know, like see what you guys like, see how you guys, you know, think, and you know, we'll just go from there. I feel like this is like a good like free form, you know. We really gotta stick to the script.
We could even ask Zoe and Bruce. Bruce is under the table. How their relationship is going.
All Bruce does is lick Zoe's ears.
Oh, that's because he cares. She's got a little boo boo right here, so Bruce is like, "I got you, boo." You know?
So let me just put bacteria.
Hey, they say that, you know, dog's mouth is cleaner than a human, so I can't really complain.
They told me the opposite. I got bit by a dog, and they were like, "It's probably gonna get infected." Like,
he's like, "There's like a 30% chance you're not gonna have a hand."
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've never been.
No. I remember one time, like years ago, when I was like 5 or 6, my mom sent me to El Salvador. And when I was in El Salvador, I went to like a cousin's house. And then on the way back, it was like through like basically like jungle. And it was like getting dark. So I was like, damn, I should go home. And then on my way home, there was like a pack of like 5 dogs. They started chasing me, and I just take off running, like, oh shit, you know, like I was almost at the house I was trying to get to. I ran so fast that I lost a shoe. And I was like, fuck that shoe, I'm not going back for it. And then I just took off. And then the next day I went looking for my shoe, and I found it all chewed up. But yeah, that's, you know. But other than that, I've had a good relationship with dogs.
Was that in the times when kids wouldn't tie their shoes? And they had the fat shoelaces, and like no one would tie their shoes.
You know, I was 5, so there's like a 50-50 chance that like I didn't know how to tie the shoes. So.
I'm sure. I know you said you were 5, but my brain completely missed that part. I was like imagining you as like a middle schooler running for your life or something.
Absolutely, but no, I mean it worked out for me. Like I'm cool with dogs. Alrighty,
no trauma.
So just to kind of start the ball rolling here, we're just gonna try to like deep dive a little bit. So why don't you tell me about how you and Angel met?
We met on Bumble.
That's for those people who are out there. That's the one where the girl hits up the dude.
Yeah, so it's like Tinder but milder. I think. I don't know. I felt like I was at a point where like I really wanted to find someone to be in a relationship with, and yeah, just like I had met guys that are just like, oh well, this is nothing serious. I don't want anything. And I'm like, let me just go try to find someone that says that they want something serious. Yeah. And then that's when I met Angel.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brucey out here.
He wants the burrito.
Oh. He's fake. He's like, yo, I'm starving. No, but you know what the thing about Bumble that's interesting is it switches the dynamic a little bit. So usually when it comes to like dating, guys have you know, they're the ones to approach. You know, so that's what we work on. You know, so we're like in middle school. We're like, all right, how do I start a conversation? How do I like introduce myself? How do I get this person to think that I'm like dope? You know, like I'm not just some loser. And I mean, that's really the skill when it comes to dating is the approach. Where traditionally, I mean, it's not always the case, but traditionally, the woman is the one to be approached, and her job is just to filter out those who are approaching, and then be like, "Oh, this guy's cool, this guy's not," and then you know that's kind of how that part works. But Bumble, like you know, we were talking about, it's a little bit, you know, we're not sponsored, but no, but that's the one switches it up a little bit, you know, where as the girl, you got to be the one to be like, "Hey, what's up?" So, like, how is that experience like actually being the one to approach?
I think it was cool just because, well, like, I've never been on Tinder or any other date. Like, Bumble was the only one I had ever been on. But it was cool because, like, you match, and then when you're ready, you're just like, okay, you know, like, maybe let me just hit him up. Let's see what he's doing or whatever.
No, that's the crazy part. Like, that's, like, the new age way of meeting people. I mean, especially now.
Like, that's so funny. When I told my mom I was dating someone, basically when I told my parents, my dad was like, where did you meet this person? We're in a pandemic. And I was like, oh, I met him online. He didn't need to know where. I met him online.
Hey, you know what though? I will say this about a pandemic. Like, if there's ever been a time to shoot your shot, this is it. It's like, everyone's bored. No one's doing nothing. It's like, hey, like, as long as you can prove that you had like a negative COVID like test and you have a couple of plans, like, shoot your shot, man. Someone might just be like, damn, I haven't been out in like 6 months. And then someone who would have never given you the time of day, you hit them up and it's like, hey, let's go do something. They might just be like, fuck it, I've been home all day, you know, like might as well. So I feel like, you know, that's pretty dope. So Angel, how was it from your perspective? So what made you go to Bumble?
I think before, like I've used both Tinder and Bumble, but it's different. Like they're both like different because like I don't know, man. Tinder is like a dirty app, man.
Yeah. That's straight hookups.
It's just like straight, like to the point. Like, hey, do you want to hook up? Like, it's weird, but Bumble is more like sophisticated, I guess, in a.
It's classy.
Yeah, a little bit more, just to like put it in layman's terms. But I mean, I don't know. I sound like I'm like promoting the app right now.
That's why I said we're not like sponsored. I'm just trying to put it out there because that's what I'm saying though. Like for instance, her sister, she's married now, and she met her spouse on Plenty of Fish. Mm-hmm. But this is even before the pandemic. But like that's the thing though. She works like all the time. She's got kids, so she doesn't have time to go out and like go to the bar and just see who she can like hook up with or whatever. Like, I don't know, I'm just saying this is like the new way of doing things, you know? And it kind of sucks because I feel like there's a lot to be said about like having a good personality and charisma and like being able to approach someone and start up a conversation. But then again, like I'm very type A, like I'm outgoing, like what's the term? Like I'm an extrovert. Mm-hmm. So for me, like it's going to sound messed up, but like in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to go and I can talk to anybody, and whoever can't is just a loser, you know? Like, oh, like, what do you mean you can't talk to a girl? It's like, well, then I don't want to hang out with you because you're a loser, you know?
Yeah.
But then now with this new age stuff, it's like, it's the way to do it, you know? Like, who even really goes to bars? Like, if you go to a bar and there's a bunch of, like, 40-year-olds and then maybe a couple of, like, 21-year-olds who, like, it's the first time there, you know? But, I mean, don't take my word for it. I'm 30. I haven't been to a bar in a minute, you know?
Pandemic also.
Yeah, but then again, like I'm also like a very expensive drunk. Like it takes a lot for me to like get pretty like drunk.
Same.
So going to a bar is like a pretty big, you know,
expense
investment almost.
Yeah.
I'll the pregame. That's why I got a pregame.
You absolutely have to pregame.
We've learned that the hard way.
No, absolutely. So
Nancy, there with your one drink.
Yeah.
Waiting for it to hit. Like
no, that's the thing that sucks. So like you know, let's talk about that part. Like. For for a guy, it's, I mean, I don't know. It's difficult for both genders, obviously. Where, you know, for a girl, it's almost dangerous to date, you know, because you don't know who's out there. A guy could be like a serial killer. And then, I mean, that might be why, like, a lot of girls, like, spend hours of their life watching these serial killer TV shows.
I'm one of those.
Because you gotta be ready, you know?
Did you
gotta
know
have that knife.
If you puncture the lungs, the body won't float in a body of water.
Oh, yeah, I
Had to puncture the lungs.
I'm glad you know that.
Yeah.
I will hopefully never need that information, but I'm glad I have that information.
Just, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that's another thing that I like when I met Angel. I felt like I was like how I said I was ready for a change in my life. That he messaged me being like, "Hey, are you doing anything today?" And it just happened to be like a Saturday I had off because I worked in fast food and like. It's really hard to get weekends off if you don't request them months in advance or something. But like I just so happened to have that day off, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, like let's just do it. And we met up. It was very spontaneous, and like I'm not one to do spontaneous things that much.
But you know what's nice about it too is the fact that you can kind of eliminate distance, because let's say that wasn't a thing, and if you wanted to go meet someone, you'd have to be local. Like you'd have to go to, and then whatever's just there is just your only option. Whereas, you know, Angel, he's currently like, 2 or 3 hours away from you. So like it does kind of like expand your horizon a little bit.
That is weird because I remember when I made my profile, I was like, oh, like I only want people that are like close by.
Yeah.
But and then they showed me Angel, who was like super far away. So when I swiped on him, I was like, oh, he must be like around here
around
somewhere.
the block, huh?
Yeah, but no, he was 2.5 hours away.
I was like, Palmdale, where's that? And then I put it in GPS and I was like, oh, God. Whoa, my heart.
Not knowing you've been making that drive.
No, hey, but real talk though, like, that's when you got to see the person and see if it's worth it. Because, I mean, you know, just to play devil's advocate here, you know, you don't want to, like, invest all this time and energy and then find out later that the person isn't worth it. So, I mean, that's, you know, why we date, you know. Bumble might be, like, the initial contact, but you still got to have that, like, secondary meetup. Yeah.
So I gotta say that everything really did work out perfect. Like a regular work day for me is at least like 12 hours, you know. And so like during the week, I barely got time to get a haircut. So on the weekends, you know, I'm usually just getting in trouble or just like doing some dumb stuff with my friends. So in the light of that, like how much free time I actually have, and then us meeting during a pandemic. And like she just said, like we weren't even supposed to meet because she had her distance set like however many miles.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's like 90 plus miles away, like,
Yeah.
or actually 190.
I was like, because like, not to bring up but I had dated someone that it was long distance, and he was an hour and a half away. And I was like, I'm not doing that again. Nope. I need someone down the street, and then.
But I think it matters about commitment, though. Like, you know, that, like, level of, hey, I'm willing to drive this far for somebody, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, like, are they worth it, you know? Because, I mean, Nancy and I did long distance for quite a bit of time. I was living in New York, and she was living in California, and, I mean, you want to talk about distance, there it is.
Yeah. Oh. I'm sorry. We're just talking about, okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Talking about Bruce.
Bruce is begging over here, man. Get off
here. It's cool, you know, he wants to be the camera. You know what it is? Zoe was on it all last time. She was just hanging between the two of you, and Bruce feels jealous.
I feel like he knows that Zoe's going to say something about him.
So,
I know.
Like
Zoe's like, he's not a provider. He just chills, you know. He's out here shooting blanks. You can't.
Poor Bruce.
Poor Bruce. I think he still hasn't forgiven us for that.
Yeah.
You guys put that all on me. Like, I was the one who did it, but y'all wanted Zoe, and you guys.
No.
There was no other way.
We don't put it on you. It's just that he puts it on you because you're the one that dropped him off.
I know.
And then I picked him up, and I was his savior.
It was funny because when he came back with that cone of shame, he didn't want to even look at Nancy. He was like, "You did this to me," and he would come to me, and I'm like, "Oh, there, Bruce." You know, like it wasn't me. I was at work. I don't know what you're talking about. Like
what happened to you? He's like, my fault.
Like, I'm not shocked as you are. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, no. So just jumping back a little bit. So yeah, what we were saying was, when it comes to normal dating outside of like COVID and like online, it's pretty like scary for like a girl, but for a guy, it's a little bit different. A guy sees dating as almost like a little bit of an investment because it's just more expensive. Like if you're a guy, you don't have a job, you can't date. And then even if you do, you have to like just be aware of like little commitments. Like you have the general thing of like, oh, if a guy is asking a girl out, then he better pay because it shows blah blah blah. But it's not just that. Like if you go to a club, like, oh, girls get in for free, guys always a $25 like
cover charge.
Like cover charge, and you gotta get in there, and you gotta buy the drinks. Each drink's like $8, $9. By the end, you're like $200 in, and then I think that's why it's messed up to say, but it's kind of created a culture where like. Guys will invest in the girl, and then that's why they get so offended when they get rejected, because it's like, oh, I didn't get a return on my investment, which isn't a good way of like viewing the world. But because of how everything is, like that's how like things. Oh, I spent 3 hours on this girl. I've paid this much. I've bought her 6 drinks, and she don't even want to like talk to me. But then from the girl's perspective, like you always have that one idea of like, I don't owe you shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, you bought me a drink. Do you own me now? Yeah. Like, was that like the purchase price? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. So that's why I think like little apps like that are kind of dope, because you kind of like go over that. I just thought it was interesting that there is an app where like it kind of switches the role a little bit, where the girl's got to be the one to approach.
Well, yeah, because we've talked about that before. We've said, like there come those moments where, guys really have to think about their approach. And then for girls, it's almost a little bit easier. I mean, I'm sure that there are other people out there that don't have the pressure of like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I just think for girls, it's a lot easier in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where like, as a guy, you're kind of brought up, to like, you have to know how to like talk to a girl and how to be cool and how to approach. Whereas, for a girl, it's more like, here's what to look for in a guy. Mm-hmm. Like I guess it goes back to what I was saying before. Like it's a filter mechanism. Like oh, if this guy comes to you, you gotta see if he hits all these check marks, and if he doesn't, then out the door. Afuera. But like I said, so for a guy, it's a little bit different. You have to develop that like charisma, that personality. But then it's just everything has like a negative aspect of that, because it gives people like a false sense of like, or everyone has like value or whatever. But like it's one of those things where like, oh, he wants like to play the devil's advocate. It's like, oh, the dude just wants to like fuck me, or like the dude just wants like to get at me or whatever. So you almost become the thing to be like, I don't know, like hunted or whatever. So you never have to learn to hunt, you know, like you don't have to learn about like putting in time and like how to like negotiate and how to like, you know, like figure out the game in order to get like the outcome that you want.
I agree, because I have none of those skills.
Well, you know, like kind of like to circle into that direction, like with me and you. I mean, well, you said it yourself. Like, had I not taken like the first step or the initiative,
we'd still be best friends.
We'd be besties for life.
Have you told them? Oh, like have you talked about how you guys met?
I mean, I think we might have like hinted at it, or maybe like did you know, little points here and there, but no, not really. Nancy and I met in high school. You know, we when I was like 15.
Old school.
Yeah. Well, here's the crazy part. So like, I met Nancy in a very like trippy part of my life. So when I was 13, my little brother died, and then I was going through a lot of like anger issues and a lot of like problems, especially at home. Me and my parents weren't getting along, and like I just needed like an escape. So I met Nancy when I was 15. So I was like 2 years after he died. I was like deep into those like moments, and she was just like a really cool person in a dark time in my life. So yeah, I appreciate you. So we met in school. I have this little story about like how senior year, I like manipulated my schedule just so I could have a couple of classes with her, and it was cool. Like I think I spent was it zero to period,
like third.
First period and second period with you. So I had like a 3 hours where I just like walked from class to class with her, just kind of hanging out. We're just besties, you know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say anything because at the time we kind of just like talked and hung out, and like I would take her out, and it would just be like
just casual, like hanging out.
Yeah, it was pretty platonic, I would say, but like, you know, you could always tell there was a little bit of chemistry, but like she said, she never took a step, so I was always the one, you know, trying to like, hey, let's go do this, let's go. And I had a car, so I was almost like the bad influence. So I was like, oh, let's ditch, you know, like let's go here, let's go there. But it all worked out. And then we always have this like moment where like her and I like bicker back and forth. Where one day I was driving with her, and I don't even remember what I said, but like it was along the lines of like, hey, you know, I like you, like, you know,
yeah, something.
Do you want to go out, lines. Whatever? Do you want to date? And then her response was something along the lines of like, well, I don't want to mess up our friendship or whatever. But that was kind of it.
Well, okay, don't go there. I think maybe I didn't have the communication skills to vocalize what I wanted. What I wanted was, I didn't want to be like, okay, now we're boyfriend, now we're girlfriend. Like, yeah. I didn't want that like hard definition. I wanted it to just kind of like, we're friends. Like, let's just keep building on that, and then, you know, eventually we'll just, you know, we'll come together when we're, you know, ready for that. And so like, I guess I don't know what I did or what I told him, and so he just got a no. He was just like, whoa, no.
Well, maybe Angel will like, you know, understand this a little bit better. Oh shit, my bad. But maybe Angel will understand it a little bit better because he's a dude. But like, so I approached Nancy. I told her like, hey, what's up? You know, I want to be with you.
He laid his cards on
you know, here's what I want. Here's the picture that I'm trying to paint, and you know, if you want to be a part of it. And for me, a non-yes is a no. Like. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just, you know, I don't want to mess up our friendship, blah, blah, blah. For me, that was like, oh, it's rejection. But as a guy, I've developed like a defense mechanism. Like, there's confidence and there's overconfidence. So, like, in my mind, like, if a girl doesn't want to be with me, I'll just be like, well, it's your loss, you know, like, whatever, you know, like, deuces, you know. But that's where I think mentally, I think that's like, you know, a defense mechanism where, like, instead of me being crushed by, like, the rejection, you know, I'm able to get over it quickly by just being like, well, I'm awesome. So like, you want to be with me? All right. Well, it sucks for you, you know, and I'm just gonna go on to the next one, and then just, you know, go on with my life. But I don't vocalize that. I don't tell her you won't be with me. Well, then after you know, figure out your shit. You know, I'm gonna go find someone else. No, because that's overconfidence. So like, I was at least confident enough to be like, in the moment, be like, all right, you know, this wasn't the answer I wanted, but it's fine. Like, I'm not gonna like nuke this relationship and then just kind of move on. But Nancy will attest that, like, yeah, like a week later, I was chasing somebody else. I was like moving on, and then she was upset with me because she was like, well, how's this dude like 1 minute hitting me up, and then when, you know, next thing he's chasing someone else. But like in my mind, I was like, I got rejected, you know, like I invested all this time and effort into this person and I didn't get a return, so let me just cash out and then pursue someone else. So that's what I want to say, like, you know, what's your thoughts on that type of mentality?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like that, it's like whenever you get that response, oh, well, you're like a brother to me. It's like something like that, you know, devastation.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, you're
just
right.
shit on my whole life.
I will say it's a good mentality to be like, okay, I got rejected and then walk away. Or like in your head, you got completely rejected and walk away. Because there's some people that like they don't take no as the answer and they just keep going.
Like you said, they consider it as like a loss of whatever they gave it or whatever they invested.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem because I feel like a lot of people get like insulted, like. Oh, hey, I'm gonna like talk to this girl and see if she likes me. And then when it doesn't work out, like their fantasy like dictated, then they're angry at the person. Like if the person did you wrong, like how dare you not say yes to me coming out to you this strongly, you know? Mm-hmm. So, sorry guys.
Wow.
I've had a good amount to drink, but no, but like you know, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like I never understood that. But it could be because of the fact that like I built up like my confidence enough where like if I did get rejected, and I've been rejected, you know, plenty of times. Most guys have had like a list of people that have rejected them, and it's fine. But you gotta have like that a little bit of a defense mechanism, and for me, that was my defense mechanism. I believed that I was cool. I believed that I was someone who was interesting, had good hobbies, you know, who could hold up a conversation. And
you had things going for you.
Yeah, like I was like, you know, I'm almost throwing you a bone.
I'm like catch.
Like, what's up? Like, you know, I'm opening the door for you. Oh, you don't want to come in? Well, I'm coming in. So, like, you know, deuces, you can chill outside in the rain. You know, that's kind of how I saw it. But it's a mental thing. And I think it's actually healthy because I think that we don't do that enough where we train people how to deal with rejection.
You're right.
You know, we tell everyone stories about, like, you know, damsels in distress. You got princesses in friggin' castles, you know, and you gotta save them. You gotta like conquer her, you know. But we don't ever talk to them about like, well, what happens if you go through all that and at the end she's like, thanks, friend, you know, like, and then you know people get, you know, they go crazy. So in that situation, yeah, I guess for Nancy, like I moved on a little bit too quickly.
It was like a couple days. You say like a week.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like, well, at the time I was a lot, you know, sexier. I was well built. I used to play soccer. You know, I was dope. But like I said, I still keep that confidence. Like I haven't lost it. But at the time, that's what helped me kind of get over it. Because, you know, what would the alternative have been? Me moping around. No. You know, like it just, you know, it's not what.
No, I know.
What I do.
But it worked out for the best.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, I had to move to New York, and then from New York hit you up, and then, you know, long distance.
We never lost touch, is, you know, my takeaway from that.
Absolutely.
But I think we wanted to be in each other's lives.
But going back to what we were, like, talking about earlier, you know, even when I was in New York, I approached you again.
This is true.
And then I was like, yo, so what's up, you know, now? You know, like, are we still friends?
You're like, let's circle back to that one conversation we had.
Remember that one time we were driving? I'm just kidding. No, but that's what I'm saying, though. So, like, as a guy, I feel like it's healthy to have that kind of mentality. And then we have that ability to approach, where it's not so much, like, emphasized on like a woman on how to like approach a man. Mm-hmm. It's very much like, you know, how to reject, you know, like, oh, if he's not doing these things, you know, XYZ, then there's the door, you know. So what do you guys feel about like that aspect of it? Like, do you feel like more should be done, or do you think like it's good enough, or what?
I mean, yeah, I guess, you know, I personally, having no experience in those kinds of things, you know, like I don't feel like I have a large like rejection list, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I could personally benefit from, you know, being humbled a little, like taken down a notch, you know? So I don't know.
I don't know about terminology being humbled, but
well, I mean, that's what it is, right? Yeah. At the end of the day.
I mean, because seriously, like how often do women get rejected? I mean, it happens. Yeah, I mean, I know Izzy's got stories. I'm pretty sure you've got stories where, like, you know, you're like, oh, maybe this guy does like me. He's, you know, spending all his time with me. And then you go like, yo, what's up? You know, I'm available. And they're like, well, good for you. Like deuces, you know, actually, in 15 minutes, I got to go meet someone else up, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it happens on both ways. I'm just saying, like, it's healthy to have that, like, mentality of, like, being able to take that rejection and, like, take it in stride.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and also, like, I don't know, being a guy is a little bit weird. Like, we live in this weird bubble where we have to, like present ourselves different than what we really are, and then hope that, you know, someone else out there, like, likes us. And then once we trick them enough to like this fake person, we gotta, like, convince them to like our real selves, and that's kind of
about that. That's a
but it happens.
Stretch.
I know, but it is. I can't say that happened to me, because I'm pretty sure Nancy and I were pretty, like, straightforward from the start. But it happens all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, because what about that culture of, like, pickup artists? You know, those people that, like, oh, wear this big hat with a feather and it'll make you interesting.
No, oh my god.
And then a girl will approach you and be like, "Oh, that's a dope feather."
And I've seen that before. I've seen that from people where they try to be that, like, interesting person, and I personally am not one for something like that, so it's kind of like, yikes. I gotta walk away.
But I mean, it works for some people.
But it works for some people, yeah.
There's some people out there that's like,
he's so interesting.
Yeah, I know. Well, it might be like a numbers game. It's like, oh, hey, you know, 9 out of 10 people are going to say no, but if I talk to 300 people, that's 3 people that said yes. You know, like,
that's putting in a lot of work.
Hey, you know, but it happens. I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Like, you know, maybe becoming a more interesting person and trying to, like, be someone who can be approached.
What do you mean?
Well, so, like, I don't know. I might be biased because I'm a dude, obviously, but, like, I always feel that a guy has to develop a character, has to develop, like, a personality that's interesting. I have to be charismatic in order to, like, have, you know, people not reject me at first sight, you know? Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel like that doesn't really exist for, like, a lot of women. Mm-hmm. You know, so they, you know, depend more on their looks, you know, their... just like for a lot of women, it's just mainly looks. It's just like, oh, I look good, I look that. And for the guy, it's like their responsibility to kind of like appealing. You know, well, that might be the answer then. It could be that, like, for a guy, looks are what's appealing. And then for a girl, you know, charisma or like...
Yeah.
But what has greater value, like looks or like personality?
Well, I feel like for a relationship to be attracted to the person. Like, the girl, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, you have to both be attracted to each other, and then, like, that's when, like, you guys start talking, and then, like, the whole, like, personality comes into play, and, like, how you guys interact with each other and how you guys get along and stuff like that.
So when it comes to dating, like, do you feel like the physical aspect of it is, like, the most important, or?
I feel like it'll probably be, like, the spark, because, like, when you see someone attractive that you're interested in, that would be, like, the first step, like, oh, that person is very, like, oh, like, that girl's pretty, let me, like, oh, get to know her, like, let me see, like, how she is, and, like, stuff like that, and like, a girl wouldn't give him the time of day if, like, she wasn't, like, interested in how he looked too, kind of thing, if that makes sense. Yeah. Or, like, she'd be like, oh, but we're just friends. That's where, like, the friendship comes in when she's not attracted.
Well, it's like that thing where, like, it's creepy if the guy's unattractive, but it's, like, I don't know, endearing if he's, like, hot. It's like the whole thing, like, you know, you're working in an office environment, and some guy that you don't find attractive, you know, maybe he's overweight, maybe he's got a bunch of, you know, stuff on his face, and he's like, hey, you know, those are some great pants. You're like, HR? But then when it's like, you know, freaking Brad Pitt walks in, you know, back in the 90s, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, he's like, oh, hey, you have great pants. And he goes like, oh, thank you. You're like, oh my God, he noticed me, you know? But what's the real difference? You know, one guy gets fired, the other guy, you know, is allowed to kind of like carry on.
But then again, it's like, it's the attraction, because you don't want, I don't know, it's just like, you don't want to be pursued by someone that you're not interested in, kind of thing.
So it could be anybody. It could be, you know.
Yeah.
Even if someone was, you know, super handsome by standards. You know, and, like, you'd be like.
So what's the appeal for someone who's not attractive to you?
No, but it's like, okay, it doesn't really, like, all have to be attraction. Like, at the same time, if they're doing something that's something that you're not looking for. Like, if you're married and, like, someone's doing that, like, they might be attractive, but you're like, no, this is inappropriate, I don't want
but let's talk about, like, when you're single. Like, let's not put, like, marriage and, like, infidelity. Oh, no, I could never, you know? Like, let's put that to the side and just talk about, like, straight, just, you know, you're single, they're single. So, like, are you almost like advocating for like if someone like everyone should know how like unattractive they are, and then if they approach me, like they should know their level and be like, oh, if this guy talks to me, but he's a 3 and I'm a 6, like
no, but I'm not talking about all that. But I'm saying is like it's how you perceive it. Like if you're attracted to the person that's doing it, then you won't take it like
yeah.
But
what's your recommendation for someone who isn't attractive? I guess so you're you and some guy who's not attracted to you. You know, he wants to shoot a shot, but like, is it all offensive? Like, oh, the guy says, "Oh, I like your hair."
I wouldn't say it's offensive, but it's how they react to it, and I'll be like, "Oh, well, thank you," or like just trying to end the conversation or trying to walk away, and they get up. Like I've had.
I was gonna say you've had that happen before.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I used to walk to school or the ABC campus out here. And then after that, I would walk to the gym, and like when I would be walking, guys would approach me, and like I wouldn't take my headphones out or anything because like I felt like I don't owe them my time, even if they're attractive or something. I'm like I'm not in the mood to talk to them, and then like they would like yell at me or like call me a bitch, and like because I wouldn't stop to talk to them, I'm like I don't owe you any part of my time.
Well, I guess to kind of like flip the script a little bit. As a guy, like I would love to be approached. You know, like you know, if I'm out in the dating world and I'm single and I'm like looking, it'd be super awesome for me to like, you know, sit there and like someone would be like, oh, hey, that's a cool book you're reading. What chapter you on? Oh, I already read it. Oh, you know, I don't know, like someone to try to spark a conversation and be like, hey, I'm interested in you. Like that'd be awesome. But like, I feel like that's not the world that we live in. I feel like the world that we live in now, it's like women, you know, especially, you know, in the dating world.
Well, maybe that's why dating apps make sense because, like, if you're on a dating app, you want that interaction. You are asking for, hey, you know what, come.
But how much of that is desperation? Gather. I mean, like, we have Tinder where it's just a hookup app, but then we have like
how much of that is what?
Sorry. Well, how much of that is desperation?
Oh, desperation.
Because, like, I think
no.
Well, here's the way that I can put it.
How dare you?
Well, here's the way that I can put it. Any guy would get like a dating app just in general to see what they can fish. But I feel like for a girl to get like on a dating app, like either her options are like limited or she's just desperate. You know, it's kind of like I've been through some shit. And I'm trying to
like how you say like for me to approach a guy and be like, hey, I would never. I'm so introvert. But again, that's the type of person like I. But I can never do that.
Do you think a lot of girls like can resonate with that? You know, like. You know, like just being that like introverted, like, oh, it's not my job technically, you know? I mean, I think that's honestly the reason in the back of my mind. It's like, oh, well, he's going to come talk to me, so that's fine.
Yeah, just like...
if he's interested.
I don't know. I would just be way too shy.
Because how do you get a man? You know, like that's always like the question. Like outside of Bumble, obviously, where you have to approach.
Well, like if I were single now... But I'm not.
You're not. She's happily.
But no, I remember one time I went out to drinks with Manny, and this guy came up to the table and he was like, "Hey, like he's like started complimenting. He's like, can I get your number?" And that's like around the time I had started talking to him. I was like, "No, like I'm talking like I'm not interested." And he was like, "Oh, okay, well have a nice night." And I was like, "Oh, that's very respectful. I appreciate it." And then like another thing, like boys be sliding in the DMs. Like if I wanted to like. Find someone like I could just like open a DM.
But doesn't that go back to what I was saying earlier? Like for a guy, it's an approach mechanism, and then for a girl, it's a filter mechanism. Or like you said, I can just go to my DM and be like, no, maybe, no, definitely, no.
Yeah, because it is kind of like a dating app. Because like if I were, I don't. I know. But if I were to go through it, and like if I were to open a DM and I'm like, if I was interested, then I could go through their profile and be like, what are you posting?
I think everything's subjective though, because like, I mean, you guys know me, like I hate talking in like black and white and just saying that guys are the approachers and then girls are the approachees.
Yeah, these are like generalizations.
Really, really like 50-50. But I mean, there's people out there, man, that like in light of like DMs, they think that that's like an automatic no. That they're just like, oh, like this is how you're gonna like I don't even know you type thing, and they're just like almost like offended by it. But.
I don't know, but there is like a subset of guy that does believe that, like, oh, if I'm like, I'm just going to send her a DM and I'm just going to send her all these pictures. Like, they think that, like, oh, a girl's going to be attracted to how forward I'm being. Or, like, I don't know, like, maybe she's going to think that I'm very confident and that's what's going to, like, reel them in. I'm just saying, like, you know, but keep in mind, I'm biased. I'm a dude. So, like, I always think that, like, dating is a lot harder for guys than it is for women, you know, because, I mean, what are the things that would, you know, stop a woman from getting, like, a date? You know, like, not to sound fucked up, but, like, you gotta be pretty, like, unattractive for you to have, like, no prospects, you know? Yeah. Whereas a guy, like, you can look halfway decent, but, like, if you haven't built up that confidence or that ability to speak with someone, you're screwed. Like, what if you're, like, an introvert and you're like, I just don't know how to talk to people? You're just going to be single for the rest of your life because you just couldn't get over that hill of, like, how do I approach them and not sound like an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you got to find that special one where, like, oh, she thought it was cute that, like, I didn't know what the hell I was saying. You know, like, you know?
I think it's all, like, societal norms. And, like, I was thinking earlier, just, like, listening to you guys talk, and a lot of people don't, like, they spend their entire lives just trying to get to know themselves, you know? And a lot of people aren't even, like, in tune with themselves to be like, hey, like, how to be confident is not how to be confident, is how are you confident in your own way, or like your approach to the other gender or whoever you're interested in. Like how are you gonna like make that yours, you know, and just be true to yourself.
I was gonna say, like, for me especially, I felt like I think that was my approach in its own way, because for me I was so focused on school for such a long time that I was like, I'm not gonna worry about a relationship. I'm not gonna worry about what comes my way until I'm completely done. Like I was willing to wait that long to be like, you know, okay, now this is when I can focus on a relationship. So that in itself could be someone's motive, you know, that, or like, you know, their approach style or technique or whatever you want to call it.
Well, no, which is perfectly fine, because that's just prioritizing.
Yeah.
You know, like I prioritize in my education.
But see, part of it was like the idea of like, I'm not putting myself in any kind of position. I'm just, whatever comes is going to come. Does that make sense?
No, I get it. I mean, especially when you're like of the mindset of like, I got to accomplish these goals, and then along the way, you know, maybe hopefully at the end of it, like I'll just stumble upon like a situation where it kind of works out, which is admirable. But I'm just saying, like, as a guy, it's a little bit different, because as like, you know, from an early age, you're taught to like, you know, you have to be the hunter. You got to go find this girl, you know, like. But the sad part is, like, you're not really even told how to do it. You know, like, my dad, the closest conversation that I ever got to, like, dating was, like, oh, when I was your age, I had already had, like, 5 girlfriends. And then that was it. He walked away. And I'm like, how? I'm like, dude, give me the playbook.
You tell me your secret?
Yeah, and then you just got to figure it out. You know, there's almost, like, not really much of a... Oh, here's a good example. We've all seen the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. What does the uncle say? Just go up to a girl and be like, hey. You know, the guy's like, oh, that's it? Awesome, uncle, thanks. You know, like great advice.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, so as a guy, you're, like, told you have to hunt. You have to be the one to go out and get this prize, you know? But then at the same time, I feel like that kind of screws things up, because, like, you create this illusion that, like, women are something to be, like, conquered, or something to be, like, I don't know if the right terminology is purchased, or, like, I don't know, even like emotionally beat down to the point where they finally like
cave in,
you know, and it sucks, because like what you lose is the fact that people are just people. Like I told Nancy once, I was like, yeah, we're just like, you know, we're like this sort of consciousness, this sort of like brain piloting these meat bodies, you know, like that's all it is. Like we're all the same. Which for me helped me talk to people, because I, you know, like, granted, you know, as a guy, you always like seek attraction, and you see, you know, people who you feel attracted to, and you pursue them, whether it's friendship or relationship. But it was easy for me to like approach someone, because I was like, you're just a person.
You're just a meat body.
Yeah, you're just a meat body piloting, you know, this like robot mech suit, you know, like trying to figure shit out. But I've had friends that they don't view people like that. They view women as like, you're playing a video game and they're the final boss and they have to be defeated.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what combination of like buttons do I mash?
What's the cheat code again?
100%.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why the people that are like, those are the same people that look up those like pickup artists. Like, what do I do to like, you know, conquer? What's the right, you know, word?
That reminds me of the movie Hitch.
Yeah, well, 100%. That's all the movie Hitch is this dude's like, yo, tell her this.
Yeah.
Yo, do that. Yo, do this. And guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But a lot of guys, you know, they have that mentality where like, I have to conquer this mountain called woman. But then once you like, she likes you. You know what the hell to do with her, because you're like, well, I won, right? Like, I'm 25 years old and I could just die now because apparently, like,
that's all I needed to do.
I defeated woman, like I don't know. Whereas the way that I see it is, we're actually in a game called life, and there's a beginning and there's a definite end, and like you're on this journey regardless of what you do. So when I'm trying to find someone, all I'm really trying to do is find someone that like can play two players with me. Like it's the same, beginning, the same
it's always
end.
A video game.
I'm gonna get there, but like, if I bring someone on board, we're playing co-op now. It's a little bit easier, We're on this journey together, and for me that's a lot more interesting. Like I'm able to like connect with someone on a deeper level because I'm like, hey, they're going through the same struggles that I'm going, versus putting them on a pedestal and just being like, oh, I want that shiny little like gold medal at the top once I defeat this this woman mountain,
Yeah, I think personally, like just growing up, I was always like trying to like figure myself out because like I was like all over the place, man. I didn't even know like what I wanted to be. Like at one point I wanted to be a doctor, like police officer, like all this different stuff. But I've always like because of that I've always been doing something, whether like I'm like in high school I would play scrimmage soccer and I was a part of like a car group, and then I've like since 7th grade I've been playing music, and then I started performing. And like when you were talking about earlier about just like guys trying to be interesting, I don't feel like I like had to go through that because I was always busy like doing something, know. And then whenever I was communicating with people, I was always like trying to like almost like get in their head and just like, how do you think, like what are your feelings on this, and just like trying to understand like how they fundamentally operate as a person. And so that's really how I talk to everybody. And so when it came to women, like women, don't take this into offense, but women like to talk. Women, it's like I think it is like they like a hormone gets released in their brain, like a little bit of dopamine whenever they talk. I don't like. Don't call me
I can have a conversation.
But whenever I think this like might be for all people too. They just like talking about themselves. A little bit of like ego in it too. So I never had like issues really with that. I just had to stay true to myself.
See, but you and I have a very interesting situation where like our dads weren't like in the picture for different reasons. So like we were effectively raised by like our moms. Do you feel like that has maybe helped you kind of like understand how to talk to women versus like, I don't know, because I can't really give a perspective of like someone whose dad raised them and was like integral and like teaching them how to like approach people and but for me, like my mom basically raised me, whether or not we have a good relationship or not, she's the one that like was there from the beginning. And then on top of that, like Izzy's my cousin, but most of my cousins are women. Like I don't really have like a lot of guy cousins. What, her brother and Joel?
Yeah.
That's it.
2 out of like 50.
Yeah, and then like my brothers, but like I have an older brother and a younger brother, and that's like basically it, and I don't ever talk to them about anything. So like having a family full of women, having a mom be the one to like raise me is I think what helped me develop that mindset of these are just people. Whereas, but like I said, I can't give you a perspective, but like, someone who maybe had their dad in the picture, maybe he was the one that kind of directed you on how to like talk to people. Because as a, I don't know, it might be different for you, but for me, like I figured that like, as a person who didn't have my dad growing up, I spent the rest of my life looking for father figures and trying to see if I could emulate other men in my life, like if my dad wasn't there, then maybe someone else can kind of fill that role to try to like teach me how to be a man. So I don't know. So for me, I think that's why I kind of had a leg up, because I could talk to women because that's all I ever talked to growing up anyway. Like, if I had a play date, it was with a female cousin, with the exception of like her brother. And that was like, what, once a month? Like, we're going to go to the valley, we're going to hang out with your aunt and your female cousins. Like, okay, and that's just like it, like you did what you have to do.
I don't know, but I guess in that same mentality, I'm thinking like, but yeah, you must have spent most of your time with your brothers, no?
Well, it's weird because I did spend a lot of time with my brothers, but we just fought.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but then
Men.
yeah.
They're being men.
No, but say what you want. There's a thing. There's just a thing that exists between males where like you just fight. Like
I don't understand that at all.
Maybe it could just be like a hormonal thing, testosterone, like you said.
Wild.
But I've had street fights with my brothers in front of the street, just punching each other in the face until one of us gave up.
That makes no sense.
I got picked up and slammed headfirst in like cement by my older brother. Like I've gotten messed up.
I told you, right? I was hanging out with a group of friends one time, and they weren't people that I like usually hung out with, but it was just very strange because like two of the girls were just like, "Yo, let's do body shots," and I was like drinks. You like we're drinking? What? We're a little underage for that, no? And they were like fisticuffs, like they were in the street boxing, and I was like, oh, that's a little too violent for me.
Yeah, I just watched.
That's not my cup of tea. I'm not that girl.
That's how I always was when they would be fighting. I was like, I'll be the referee.
I'm here for peace.
Body shots off the boobs or belly buttons?
Like where?
Let's do it. I've only done belly buttons, but what are you talking about?
It was just very eye opening for me. That I was like, is that like a thing that people do? They just fight for fun because they're bored.
It's a level of aggression you weren't like.
I was. Because I've never been an aggressive person. I've always been meek, mild, calm, zen. Yeah. All those things.
No, but I mean, as a guy, it's important. Like, I mean, call it what you want. And right now, we've all got into like we're used to calling everything like toxic or whatever. But like, there is a level of masculinity where you need to, at the very least, like present yourself as a threat.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is self-preservation. It's not even like I want to be a badass. Like, oh, I can take anyone. Like, no, because all that does is it invites people to fight you.
Yeah, you're right.
But you have to like present yourself in a way, walk a certain way, talk a certain way, in order to de-escalate a fight.
You're right, because I've always thought about that. My cousin went to high school out here, and we would drop him off, and he would like debate in the mornings. Like he would have like either like his phone or like an iPod or something, with him, and he'd be like, "No, I think I'm gonna leave this today." Like I just don't want anybody messing with me or whatever. And I like that for me was never a thought. Like I had never had to think about like, oh, I'm not gonna take this today because what if somebody tries to start something, or who knows, like whatever the reason is. But that was something that he had to debate every day. Basically, it was like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't take my wallet. I saw some people getting upset yesterday, and maybe that might flow into today. Who knows? And that's just never been a thought for me. And I was just like, wow, with the privilege that I have of being a woman, that I was just like living my life like, oh, I'm just gonna take everything with me at all times.
And especially in a relationship, like I have conversations with my friends, and we're alike because they're the type of people that like I might be with you, like let's say we're in the club, but like I'll be like talking to you, but I'm also looking everywhere. I'm always looking around, and like even if like we kiss like real quick, and then I'm just like I don't like people standing behind me. Like don't get close to me, because if anything happens, like if I need, like I always know where the exits are, just shit like that. Because as a man, I mean, society says you have to be the protector.
Well, at the same time, like who's protecting you as a man? Like you might have a mom for a certain amount of time, but once you reach a certain age, you're just on your own. Whereas like a girl, it's like encouraged to find a protector. Like find someone who is going to take care of you, and like and granted, there are outliers there, where like the woman is the aggressor and the guy is just kind of along for the ride, and that's fine. But that's not what society teaches you. As a guy, you have to be, at the very least, willing to be aggressive. Like I've told you before, like as a brown male, I know, especially since like I'm not small, like all I have to do is get loud, and 90% of the time I can de-escalate a situation. Just get, look angry, give a crazy look, and just be like louder than the guy in front of me, and 90% of the time they'll step down. But I also have to be ready for that 10%, where the guy doesn't step down. And then it's like, well, dude, you just fucking had the worst day of your life today because you met me, but that's just the mentality. I'm not, I can get my ass beat, but I have to approach the situation with that mentality where I have to puff off my chest and be like, like what's up, like like today you don't fuck with me, but why? Because who's gonna protect us?
Yeah, you're right.
You know, like we're the ones that are told to go die. You know,
dang, that's crazy.
We're here to protect you guys.
See, and that too, I've never had to like sit there and think about that. You know, like that's my privilege, I guess, or my.
Yeah, but like I said, I know that there's outliers. I know that there's women that are aggressive, but I just feel like, you know, society doesn't like nurture that. Mm-hmm. You know, as a girl, you're allowed to like be meek and just kind of like chill. There are disadvantages. A lot of those people get taken advantage of. You know, a lot of people get their freedom taken away. How many people do you guys like know or have heard of where like they're with a dude and they can't leave the house, they can't do anything, the guy's checking up on them, and you know, like I can make an argument like, oh, it's their fault because they were meek, they found someone, you know. But then the alternate argument is like, well, they didn't know who they were with until it was too late, and then you know, they've put this much time.
Sometimes he will do a 180 on you.
Which it's true. I mean,
it's like well, I don't want to.
Well, you know someone. You have
I have a friend that like when she got married, dude completely changed, and they were married for like less than a year. She had to get out.
But she got out.
Yeah.
And she almost didn't because of like religion and like societal pressures. Her own family was probably pressuring her to like just deal with it. It is what it is.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. It's crazy to think that like some people are in a relationship where their freedoms are just stripped so much. Like, oh, you're not allowed to have social media. You're not allowed to talk to guys. You have to unfollow all these guys. You have to like, I don't know. But at the same, it's hard because you're just like just leave. But then sometimes it's hard to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a minute to just look at the dogs and how they're just the same way.
Dude, Bruce is chilling. He's so happy. He's like, yo, like I got to be in this whole video.
That was really what he wanted.
I'm sitting on a lap and I'm just having the best day of my life. Straight chill.
Those gone.
Yeah, I mean, because like, you know, like I grew up Christian, so I know about a lot of societal pressures where, especially marriage, like, damn, you want to talk about divorce? Like, you better leave the church or something because yeah, like the church will like obligate you to stay with someone who is abusing you, and they'll be like, well, wild. You know, God, God
wants you to work things out.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's like, dude, it's not worth it. Like, it's better to be like happy and separate than miserable and together, especially if you have kids. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm staying with this person for the kids, even though this guy's like abusive, or because the girl can be abusive. The girl can be emotionally abusive. She can be physically abusive, you know. But like, it's, you know, obviously people don't like really care about guys being abused too much. But still, like they'll force them to be in a relationship because God.
Is it crazy to think that like even toxic people have like someone that's like that they're meant to be with, or like they get along so well?
I mean,
like, because I know this guy that's with this girl, and she's like that. Like she's like cheated on him, and I don't know. She's like, she wears the pants, but he never leaves. And he's happy. I don't know. I guess he's happy.
I don't know. A lot of times you're comfortable. Like you've been with someone for so long that you just don't know.
That might also be like a lazy factor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like comfortable and lazy enough to just like, well, it is what it is.
My problem is that I always equate it to like self-worth. It's like after a certain time, you're like, well, maybe this is all that I can get. You know, maybe like,
sadly,
if I leave this person, then I'm just going to be alone forever. You know, so because I was like that. You know, I've been.
Well, that's also tied to fear, though. A fear of like, you know, what is going to happen to me after I'm not in this relationship anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, well, I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, a lot of times people get comfortable with their relationship. You know, the person doesn't put their end of it, so you just pick up the rest of the pieces. And then because ultimately there's always one person that puts in more than the other. And that's just, like, you know, is there really such thing as 50-50? Like, no. Mm-hmm. But I'm a believer that you should strive for 50-50, you know? Like,
I feel like that's good because I feel like in different times in the relationship, the effort could go up and down for each, like, whoever needs, like,
the support
needs the support. That's what, like, it needs support. Then, like, the other person can step in and like, teeter-totters kind of thing. And I feel like that's good. That's healthy. Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. But that's why, like, I'm like, really fearful of, like, sometimes involving the church. And sometimes it's not even the church. It's, like, clubs or, like, social things. Just anything that you're attached to. Even sometimes it's, like, friends groups. It's very, like, scary to, like, get involved with someone whose life revolves around you other than the relationship. Because if the relationship ever fails, your whole life falls apart. You know, like, you know, there's a lot of religions out there where if it doesn't work out, you split up, you get a divorce. Well, guess what? Now you're excommunicated.
Yeah.
Oh, you failed? Well, that's your fault. You know, like.
It's like, oh, you gave up. Like,
exactly. Sometimes you're the one getting beat every night, and then you leave, and it's like, oh, you gave up on the relationship. Well, God's mad at you, and you can't come to the church anymore. And it's like, dude, like, what the hell? Like, I'm not allowed to be happy.
Church is a whole other topic.
Dude, Catholic priests can't get married. That's why they get married before they become a priest.
Dang.
I don't know, man. That's all crazy. I'm against anything, like any sort of structure that, like, limits you from being able to be, like, a free person. I mean, outside of, like, being able to murder. I
just want to eat people.
I just want to chop them up, man. It's my God-given right, you know?
Yeah, aside from that.
Aside from that, you know, because there is, like, a social contract, you know, like,
yeah,
I won't kill you as long as you don't kill me. I mean, that's the contract I have with my neighbors.
Isn't it crazy that, like, we want that to be the case, but there are some people who don't believe in, you know, that, like, social contract. That's wild to me. That's
yeah.
What do you mean?
They just want to eat people.
I think what she's saying is, like, basically that we all have this idea of normal decency and being a human being, but there's people like the serial killers, fucking like horrible people that are just like, no, those rules, no, I don't want to abide by that. That sounds lame.
You know what's crazy? No one ever really teaches you about these, like, social contracts, I guess. Like, the simple fact that you're driving in the streets and you have an agreement with other drivers that you're going to do your best not to hit them as long as they do their best not to hit you.
I don't know. I feel like I got taught a lot of the social contract stuff in, like, government classes that, like, that we would take. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't want to, like, discount you because the only issue here is, like, I feel like you've had a pretty good life. You have good parents. Your education worked out pretty well.
Thank you.
A lot of us are out here struggling on our own. You know.
This is true.
You know, like I don't know. I always think about how you always hear about these tropes, like, oh, my mom and me had to talk about, like, the birds and the bees, or, like, I didn't have any of that. You know, all I had was, you know, if you have sex, you're gonna die.
Dang.
Like, you're gonna go to hell. You know, and God's gonna punish you. You know, and then that was as far as our, like, education went, and then everything else I was just kind of on my own to figure out.
My mom was an open book. She was kind of like, do you need to ask me anything? Like, what was going on?
See, my problem is if I tell my mom anything, even if I was just thinking something, I get beat.
Yeah, like my dad was basically like, oh, you can date when you're married, kind of bad. Like, don't even look at me. Like,
you can date when you're married. What?
At the altar, nice to meet you.
Yeah, but it was like, I do feel like I grew up very sheltered, and maybe that it plays into, like, why I don't approach people or, like, would think about approaching a guy just, like, on the street. It's like I grew up where, like, my dad was, like, very strict on me. Like, I wasn't allowed to hang out with boys and stuff. Like, even, like, when it, like me and, like, his brothers would come over, like, Steven would be playing with them. I wasn't allowed to play with them. I had to be with the adults.
Dang.
The whole time. I'm like, oh, this is bullshit.
The disrespect.
Everyone's like, oh, because who knows?
Yeah, it's so fucked up. But, yeah, like, and, I don't know. I just, it's like, but yeah, it's like, tying back into, like, the religion thing, like, where, like, I grew up in a very restrictive religion. Like, a lot about what, like, a lot of things about me now would be, like, I would get excommunicated.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have tattoos.
Immediately.
I have colorful hair. And, like, and all this stuff is just, like, this is no go. You just not allowed.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Especially, like, very much appearance-wise. I don't know. That whole thing was a cult.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Angel? Like, growing up, like, what was your whole approach to, like, dating and, like, you know, just, like, finding a partner in life?
I think...
Well, he said he was busy.
I was just really horny, bro. Like, I was just out there trying to fuck, bro. But, like, I don't know, like, I was just, like, doing me, you know. I was involved in a lot of different things, and my mom was just, like, just straight to business, you know. Like, she would tell me, like, I had to take care of, because I'm the oldest, so it's, like, taking care of my siblings, and then, like, doing the chores of the house, and then if my mom, like, ever needed anything, any, like, favors. And then, like, when I was at school, you know, I would just be, like, you know, involved with any extracurricular activities at school. But, like, if I wasn't doing that. I was just, what's up?
It is a little bit different for a guy because, well, it's part of the whole culture, like the whole approach culture, or the fact that you have to be the one to like hunt. That like it's normal for a guy to like see the world that way. Everyone's a target. Like let's see which one I can hit, which one I can't, and then go from there. But then I guess like switching over to you, Nance, like. Well, how did you see the world? Like, was that ever like a thing where you had to worry about like, can I find someone or like?
Honestly, to be completely honest, no, it was not. There was never like a doubt in my mind. But like I said, I was so busy with like, here's my goal, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. A relationship wasn't even on the radar. It wasn't even in the possibilities. It was just kind of like, no, I have to get school. Like literally that was like the goal. School first. Like that was like the only thing that I was concerned with. So, to say that it was like on my mind, it really wasn't. I mean, yeah, in high school you're kind of like, ooh, this person's cute, whatever. But, you're not like, I don't think I was trying to like find the one,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, I guess my other question too, because like I feel like as a guy, you're kind of taught how to treat a girl, like, or at the very least, like you're expected to be like taught how to treat a girl, how to have a relationship, and then I think on the other side of the spectrum, like women are taught how to be treated by guys, But like, do you feel like women are ever taught how to treat a guy other than like? We're Hispanic, so like there's a lot. I was gonna say there's a lot. There's a lot of like pick up their plates and like make sure he's not really, But like other than that, like psychologically, emotionally, like do you feel like women are ever taught how to like just handle being around a dude?
I don't know. I guess like the whole gender role comes back into it because it's like like mind your P's and Q's. You're just kind of like trying to be there for them without really like being in the way. I think that I don't know that to me seemed like a recurring topic, I guess, or like I don't know idea.
I will say like growing up like my dad was very removed, I feel like, from like the family. Like he was busy with his stuff and like he'd go to work and then he'd have to commute back to like he'd have to commute like 2 hours and like I don't have a lot of memories of him like talking to us or like hanging out with us or like doing activities with us. It's like it was always my mom to do that. And then I grew up thinking that was normal, and then like they're just like bickering and like just like my mom not saying how she felt, and like like just taking it all like it like like if my dad were to get upset, he would like he would never like hit anyone or anything. But he would just like he would get upset and like yell about something not being done or something not being clean. So I feel like that did lead me into going into like toxic relationships and thinking they were normal. And then like it's just like and like growing out of that, like trying to teach myself to not
accept that or for sure.
And like being able to like be like, oh, you're telling me, like saying my feelings, because my mom never did that until she exploded one day and I was like, oh shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, but then like I said, I keep pulling it back to the guy's perspective. We're almost raised to like not acknowledge our feelings.
Yeah. So like going back into that, like I do understand that my dad probably felt like he couldn't talk about like how he felt or like the stress of like his job or the stress of like the cult we're in, like and so I do understand that, and I wish he would have like had, I don't know, just like I wish they would. I know they do now.
Yeah, it's the emotional awareness or like emotional capacities at least.
Yeah, they have that now, but growing up they never did, and it just like it took a toll on the whole family and like how I viewed relationships growing up, kind of thing. But yeah, like looking back now, I do realize like like maybe if he had better communication skills or like knew that he could like open up to my mom about like how he felt.
I think that really does play it. It's a whole it's the culture. It's like Hispanic culture for real, because you see that recurring theme of like men keeping their feelings suppressed over and over, and it expresses itself in different families, but really like there are ways to communicate without, feeling, degraded.
Yeah, because my whole issue is that, like, when it comes to guys, unless we have like a circle, like with me and Angel, like we talk about stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And then we break stuff down. And we talk about everything like emotions, feelings.
Yes.
What's running through your mind, but that's not a normal thing. Like,
but I think that's the growth that like I see it so much, like on videos, on television now, movies, all kinds of stuff where we're showing people that it's okay to have emotions, it's okay to feel, it's okay to be a person and experience life.
I do feel that way, like every new generation becomes more accepting.
I agree.
Like there was a point where like you couldn't get married to someone unless they're like interracial marriages are not a thing. And now, like gay marriage is legal, and like, of course we're like, oh yeah, that's normal. But like people had to fight for that, like fight for that equality kind of thing. So
I don't know. I think it's just cultural, and a lot of growth is taking place, and I think especially now, it's trying to be as inclusive as possible.
But like, how do we fix that? Like I said earlier, like Angel and I will talk about stuff. But is the solution out there to like create like groups where like guys can kind of come together and like talk about their stuff without being called gay and shit like that?
I feel like it has a lot to do with your friends too. Like you have to seek out people that you feel comfortable talking to, and they won't get roasted. Exactly,
because girls can say it to you guys all day long. We could be like, oh, well, you need to be better about, not making other guys feel, down for expressing themselves. But it's all about the actions that you take when you guys are alone as guys, as men, or whatever, in your groups, in your, personal settings. Because when there's girls present, I don't feel like people dive that deep, maybe like in intimate conversations, like solo conversations, that's where you can get deep. But I don't know, I don't feel like in a social setting it's not a time to get deep, I guess.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know how Angel feels about this, but like I think a lot of times women don't realize that they're their only source of like being able to like speak about their emotions and like talk about their feelings and thoughts, which sucks because sometimes like the girl doesn't realize that like, hey, I'm talking to you about my shit, but like you don't realize how much it means to me to like talk to you about like my stuff. And then a lot of times girls don't want to hear it, or like, oh, I got my own problems, and it's kind of like,
I feel like that's a whack relationship.
No, but it happens. It happens all the time.
I know it happens, but it's just like, it makes me feel sad.
Yeah.
That people will like, be with, I don't know. It just makes me sad to think that you can't talk to your significant other.
Yeah.
Like that. And it's just like, like this is the person you're supposed to be like how you said, like, what is it called? Like multiplayer? Yeah, like, co-op. Oh, there we go. Co-oping life with, and you can't even, like, tell them, like, yo, like, I need some help over here. And, like, I'm battling a dragon on this side. Like, you just figure it out. Yeah.
I don't know, because, like, there's a lot of, there's a lot of pressure on, like, guys to, be interested in what your girl is interested in. Like, oh, she wants to watch this movie, go watch it. Oh, she likes this book, read it, like... like be interested in her hobbies and like I don't know, like make her a priority. But sometimes I feel like it's not reciprocal. Yeah, like how many girls are like, oh hey, you're playing Halo for like the 39th time, like let me play with you, or oh dude, you're a good shot. And I feel like for like a lot of guys that'd be awesome. Like okay, I'm. At this point, I'm playing the devil's advocate because I don't really play games, but I know that there's guys out there that play video games, and it'd be great for a girl to be like, yo, let me sit next to you and just at the very least compliment me like playing, oh, that was a good shot, or that was cool. And even if she doesn't really care about what's going on, it's just the fact that she's acknowledging something that I'm interested in, and that like it's not weird, or it's not like a problem. Because what happens all the time, like oh, you're watching a movie, or you're just like chilling with your friends, like it's a problem now. Like how dare you have interests outside of like you and I.
And that's on toxic relationships.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's different because as a guy, you're kind of expected to allow the girl to have like her own hobbies and like you know, oh, you want to go shopping? Like, sure, I'll go with you. Oh, you want to go to Hobby Lobby again? You know, like, okay, fine. Oh, you want to decorate? Yeah, let me put, you know, input.
Are you calling me out? I'm just kidding.
She's like, oh, you saw something on Pinterest, let me build it.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, as a guy, like, I'm expected to, like, you know, make you a priority, you know? But, like, I don't know if it's the same for women.
Is this coming from somewhere deep?
No.
Do you need to talk about it?
No. We'll talk about it later. I'm just kidding. Well, I want to hear from Angel. Like, what do you think about all this?
Dude, 100%, man. I agree with you, like, 1,000%. Because, like, I mean, it's going back to just the way that, like, guys, you know, view. Because this is the thing, like, I've been mentioning just staying true to yourself. And, like, I've came up with that, like, almost, like, not really on my own, because a lot of people, like, it's normal for a person to want to be themselves. But, like, I've had to constantly remind myself that if I'm doing something, like, it's going to be for me, you know? Because, like, there's been so many times where I feel like, you know, people just don't have interest. Like, I'm, like, super psyched about it. And I consider myself also, like, a very passionate person, too. And so, like, if I'm talking to you about, like, skateboarding or music, or, like, I'm not trying to be cocky and just be like, hey, like, oh, I can do this. It's more like, I just love this so much, and I just want to bring this to the table so that we can talk about it. And so you know what's important to me, you know? And what that moment that, like, that other person doesn't show interest to it, you're just like, oh, fuck, all right, I'm just gonna just go back and, you know, continue doing my thing.
Just don't mind me.
No, but you know what the shitty part about that is? It kills sometimes your interest. Like, I'm doing something. When I met you, I was doing this thing. And then now that I'm with you, I'm trying to keep you happy. And then you hate this thing that I'm into. So now, like, well, fuck my life then. If I'm going to stay with this person, I got to, like, step away from these, like, interests.
Yeah.
But then ultimately what happens? You change as a person. You know, you don't do the things you like. You know, maybe you're a little bit less, like, happy, or maybe a little bit less outgoing because you're focused on keeping somebody happy. And then what? They start hating the person you've become. It's like, oh, when I met you, you used to be a lot more interesting. You used to do all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but you shit on everything that I liked. And then after a while, I'm like a shell of who I used to be. And no shit, you don't like who I am. I don't even like who I am right now. And then, you know, I feel like that's how, like, relationships devolve. Which is why I think it's, like, it's important for everybody to have, like, their own life, their own interests, you know. And then that way you have something to talk about. Because think about it. Like, people that spend 24/7 with each other and, you know, they don't do anything. After a while, you run out of things to talk about. Oh, hey, I went one time to this place. You're like, yeah, I know, I was there. Oh, this happened. Like, yeah, I know, I was there. You know, but, like, when you have your own separate little, like interests or life, or, you know, even friend groups, you can come back later and be like, oh, man, this happened. You know, you just kind of keep things a little bit, you know, interesting.
Spicy.
Yeah. What is it? Variety is the spice of life? You know, I think that's true.
Yeah. I can see that.
Okay, so I feel like we went over a lot of good things, a lot of good topics, and I've enjoyed our conversation.
Very much.
So I want to thank you guys for coming to this little talk. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Can we get gas money for the drive?
I know, right? Yeah, for the next one, we'll see if we get a sponsor, and then
Okay.
we'll shoot you like a 20 or something.
It'll be a Corona for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, you know, I heard that their stocks were going down, so let's see if we can help them up.
No way.
Yeah, because people were like, "Oh, Corona," you
They
know,
have
like,
Corona.
Oh.
It's like, dude, like, really, you think people are getting sick?
No,
from the
pero
beer?
se llama Coronita.
It's different. It's
Just
Yeah.
a little.
just a little bit.
A little sick. Achoo.
You're like, it's smaller, so I'm cutting back. It's like, but you're just drinking more of them. You're like, yeah, but they're smaller, so smaller portions.
Don't question my methods.
Absolutely. All right, guys, it's been fun. See you on the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.